mock jury trial. We have 4 members here of the Harrison County Bar today to evaluate your performances in those jury trials. And yes, I said performances. There's a fair amount of performance that goes into jury trials. But to introduce the lawyers who are here today to evaluate you on your performances, I'd like to introduce Laura Pickens with the Harrison County Prosecutor's Office. I think they might appreciate us giving them an afternoon out of the office too. It is Friday, maybe you can work it out not to go back after we finish up today. We also have another very special guest with us today, a very good friend of Mountaineer Boys State. Shelley Capito is Congresswoman Capito to you. She serves in the United States House of Representatives, representing the Second Committee. And also something that I think is very pertinent right now to what is going on in our country, she is the founder of the Congressional Coal Caucus. Something very important to our state. Very important for jobs, revenues, and you can bet she's down there in Washington protecting what is important to West Virginia. Gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Shelley Capito.
I always enjoy coming. It is an uplifting experience for me to gaze across the room and see the men of tomorrow, the future of our state and our nation. And while you probably heard this all week and you probably thought, yeah, right. It is a serious concept, and it's something that somebody like me who's leading the country in Washington knows that we need the talent in this room to lead the next generation. Because we're going to be leaving you with some serious issues, and you all are going to have to be problem solvers, and I know you're going to be able to do it. It's wonderful for me to share my meal with Governor Dante, and I wish I remember your last name, but anyway. Dante's great. I did see his campaign photo. Looked a lot like Mike Tyson. You know, I campaign all the time. I'm sort of whatever works, Dante, so it worked for you so good. And I'm glad Morgan's back. I've gotten to meet him, and the nice thing about West Virginia, and I'm sure you're going to find this through the years, and you've already found it now, is we're just one big community. So Morgan and I are actually from the same county. I was born in Glendale, West Virginia. Is there anybody here from Glendale? Glendale, right there. Jefferson Avenue. My parents' home is in Jefferson Avenue. We raised our family in Kanawha County. Where's my Kanawha County delegation? They're so loud all the time. What I've learned serving the 2nd Congressional District, which includes Dante's home county of Jefferson, that the Eastern Panhandle really doesn't care for Kanawha County. I'll tell you that right now. That's a little in-state rivalry going. But anyway, it is a big community. And when you leave here, and when you try to pursue your education and your work life and hopefully bring it back to West Virginia or wherever you are, you're going to run into Boy Staters all across the country. So the friendships that you form here today are like friendships. They're friendships to take with you, they're friendships to grow, and they're also friendships that when you get to be an adult and out of school, they're great networking opportunities for you. And so someday, you're going to be sitting here in a blue shirt molding the men of tomorrow. So I want to thank you all for the legacy that you have here at Boy State, 77 years. but for what the young men in this room are going to represent for the future of our country. Now, I am a member of Congress. We have a 7% approval rating in the country. That means the only people that really approve of what Congress is doing is their family and former employees. It's a rough time in Washington. If you pay attention to it, and I know you do because you're in the public service and you're interested in your country and you're learning more about that today, we could do things a lot better for you in Washington, D.C. And that would include working together across the aisle. You have two parties here at Boise State. You know there's a good rivalry between the two parties, but at the end of the day, to get things done, you got to work with the other side. And we're not doing that as well in Washington as we should. I started the Civility Caucus in Washington because I felt like the debate that we have in Washington is mean-spirited. It doesn't have the respect that we should have for differing opinions. It's geared towards a 30-second soundbite on TV, and a lot of times you just get more of a clashing feel about our country and our country's leadership than really a feeling of us working together. So I decided I'm gonna start with my fellow Democrat from Missouri, Emanuel Cleaver. We decided to start the Civility Caucus. Emanuel Cleaver and I probably vote absolutely differently every single day in the United States House of Representatives. We just have totally different beliefs in the way to solve the nation's problems. We both want to solve them, we just think we go about it a different way. So Emanuel and I, we had civility debates, we've had op-eds, we've had breakfasts where we bring Republicans and Democrats together. And the sad thing I'm here to report to you is we only have approximately 18 out of 435 members in the Civility Caucus. That's not a very big number. In the Wine Caucus, wine as in drinking wine, not wine as in wah, wah, wine, the Drinking Caucus, we have 195 members. So we've got a little bit of an issue in Washington, and that's why I think the values and the techniques and the ability to speak and persuade that you learn here at Boise State is so important to lead our nation's next generation. I have with me today an alumni of Boise State, Shelley. Thank you for coming with us. I can tell he misses being here. He still has a lot of friends here, but I think it made a great impression on him. As was mentioned, my two boys came, and I'll give you, this is the tale of two cities. My one son came in 1998 from GW. And he had a little bit of trouble kind of catching on to the concept of Boise State. So I'm catching it at the end of the week, so there might be a few in here that kind of have that feeling. He didn't really jump in with both feet. And so we had a different experience. My second son came in 2000 from GW, and he jumped in with both feet and had a great experience. So those of you who have taken advantage of this, I say congratulations. Those of you who are not too sure, I'm guaranteeing you it's a skill for life, friendship for life experience that you've had, and you're going to wear it proudly on your shoulder when you go back to your home schools. You really are. Some of the talent in this room is going to be doing, I think, some of the highest level leadership development that we have in this country. And as you're a member of Congress, as a member of Congress, it's my privilege to interview and help students be able to apply and seek nominations for our service academy. So that would be Naval Academy, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine, West Point, and Air Force. And some of you I know who are interested in that. Please pursue that. We need good, young leadership from West Virginia because we want to help you become not just the men of tomorrow, but the military leaders of tomorrow. And there's some sitting in this room. And I just am so proud with the heritage of the Legion that you have here and all the things you talk about, the heroes that have gone before. The future is here with you all and with those young men and young women. I talked to Girls State earlier. I know, no bullying. And they were very excited, and I said the same thing to them. So anyway, I was very interested to see your call to order out there. I don't know if that's exactly what it's called, but that last shave your belly thing, I'm not really too sure about that. They They weren't saying that at Girl State, I don't have to tell you that.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. It is. So anyway, I just want to leave you with the thought that in Congress, there's 435 members of Congress. Do I have any Golden Horseshoe winners in here? I knew I would, because it's... Okay, here's quiz time for you guys. Am I the first woman ever to represent the state of West Virginia in the House of Representatives? No. No, the no's have it. The no's are right. Most people think that I am because it's been quite some time since the first woman represented the state of West Virginia. Her name was Mrs. Elizabeth Key, K-E-E. She's from Bluefield. Let's hear it for Bluefield, Princeton. Where are they? They're not here.
Wow.
Okay, Elizabeth Key. We're active. Anyway, she represented Southern West Virginia in the House of Representatives. And she was elected the same way a lot of members, women were elected in the beginning. Her husband was a member of Congress. He passed away, and she was elected into his seat. In the whole, now, she was one of the pioneers. In the whole 435 members of Congress, there's 80 women now. There's lots more women there used to be, and they're elected really like I was in my own right, rather than following my husband or my father or my. Actually, I did follow my father from. He ended his service in 1968, and I got elected in 2000, so I kind of followed him. But that leads me to the last thing that I want to say. I talked about the approval rating in the country. I talked about the decisions that we're making in Washington. I mean, just today we've got all the situation going on with Iraq, with Syria, with the Ukraine, with the VA hospitals, with the gentleman who's coming back from Afghanistan, Bo Bergdahl. I guess he's back in the United States. The story is yet untold on that soldier. And so there's lots going on in Washington, but one of the things we always want to do is take care of our veterans, make sure that those who have put themselves on the front lines to protect our freedoms and liberties, so we can join here at Jackson's Mill, at Boyd State, and talk about what a great country this is. It comes at a cost. And many of your instructors are veterans, many of your grandfathers and fathers and mothers are veterans, and we always want to be a grateful nation. And that's why this whole episode with the Veterans Hospital is troubling to a lot of us. So we're going to solve that problem, because that's a problem that we share across party lines, from House to Senate. And actually, we did pass legislation on Friday to make sure that we would have some emergency assistance for our veterans. So I'm going to finish with this, because you're getting ready to wrap up tomorrow. You're going to be entering your senior year in high school. It's going to be a great year for you. It's a learning experience that last year. It's fun. It's frustrating. As a parent of 3 kids who went through, it's also a little daunting for the parents. It's hard for us to say goodbye. And after next year, that's what we're going to be. That's what your parents and your family is going to be doing. So I want to leave you on an optimistic note. I work in the United States Capitol. Who's been there? A lot. Good. I'm glad you all are visiting the Capitol. When you walk up the steps of the Capitol, there's one thing I noticed from the very first day I went there. They're marble steps. They're hard, and they're solid. But you know what? There's grooves in those steps. There's footsteps in those steps. And they're worn. They're worn down. And you think, how can that be? And I realize every day when I walk on those steps that the folks that walked before me, that have made the indents in the marble, that have made the impressions, went to Washington with the same thing in their hearts that we have today. And that's the belief in freedom and liberty, the belief that this country is the best country on earth, the belief in a bright future for you all and your children and mine now, grandchildren. And that, so no matter when you're watching TV or when you're listening to it on the radio or when you're reading about it, and it looks like they're never going to solve the problems, they're never going to get where we're going to go, they don't know how to do it, just keep in mind it's the same thing in our hearts to solve the same problems and some of the bigger problems that have been in the hearts of Abraham Lincoln and Lyndon Baines Johnson and JFK and all the great folks that made those grooves in the United States Capitol. So it's a real honor to serve in Washington. It's a real honor to serve in Congress. And it's a real honor, as always, to to be here to address you all at Boys State. Thank you all so much.
Congresswoman Capito, on behalf of the staff and the citizens of the 77th Annual Mountaineer Boys State, we'd like to present you with a Boys State pin that you can wear proudly,
Yes.
a Boys State coin, and a Mountaineer Boys State staff shirt. Looking good.
I'll wear this to Mountaineer games. Yeah.
There you go. She said she's going to wear that to a Mountaineer game. We'll have you watching for that. Now, gentlemen, turn your attention to the rear of the room, please. You have before you a very dedicated staff that we would like to call around.
Are any of you guys hungry? No. Have any of you been hungry all week? No. There's one reason you have for that, and that's for these ladies and gentlemen in the back of the room here. So we need to give them a real nice round of applause.